Minnesota Medleys.
Hello.
I'm Travis.
I'm Jess.
And thanks for tuning in. It's been a couple weeks since we released an episode. You know, life gets hectic, chaotic, crazy. Sometimes all three at once. Mm-hmm. And but it's nice to be back recording with you, Jessica.
You as well.
Say our thanks to Sarah Zaleznikar from Odyssey Resorts, who, of course, interviewed with us for our 218 Days episode.
I loved talking with her.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Nice.
And she put together a really neat event that draws much needed and appreciated attention to many small businesses and organizations in that pretty much the northern half of Minnesota. It
sounds like it was a very well attended event.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So our thanks to her. And speaking of thanks, we decided to do a little episode about gratitude.
Thanksgiving in February.
Yes. And we thought, what a fun way to do this, but to revisit our previous episodes. We would talk about, from day one, our first episode.
About 7 months ago?
Yeah, our first episode. Actually, our meet and greet episode was at the very end of July.
Yeah.
And then...
Oh, say, it's a leap year this year.
It is.
Almost happy leap day.
Oh, okay.
To you.
Yeah, thanks.
Anyway, I was just thinking about the fact that it's practically... Well, if there were 30 days in February, we're almost there.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking of July 30th. Was that when you said our...
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyway, and we thought what a good way, but to just revisit the people that have joined us in some of our 22 episodes now. Mm-hmm. That does not include the meet and greet. But, boy, where does the time go?
We were our guests that day.
We were our guests. Yep, that's true. And I need to remember, too, because we want to continue encouraging people to, if we put something on social media, on Facebook, where we haven't done a lot of this lately because we've had guests.
Yeah.
But we always welcome feedback. We always welcome ideas from people. If they have a town or a resort or just something they find very Minnesotan that they'd love to hear us discuss, we're happy to look into it. We're happy to do some research. And also, as has happened in the past, people have given us a suggestion and with a whole bunch of helpful ideas on how to tackle that particular subject. And we're grateful for that.
And I think to also encourage participation from those who follow our page. We do have a few ideas for potential poll type of questions coming up, and we really need involvement from people and interaction. And so beyond just sharing our posts on Facebook or liking or loving our posts,
which we appreciate,
we do, we would love comments and responses to some of those things.
Biggest things are shares.
Yes.
We had, when we did, for instance, when we did this is kind of a state of the podcast here, just briefly. When we did the Hendrix episode, tiny little Hendrix, I don't recall what their episode is, 700 and some people. One of our posts about them leading
their
up to
population?
Their population, yeah. They had been shared 38 times.
Yeah.
We'd never had something shared more than 5 times in the past.
Yeah.
And then when we released that episode, that first day, it was downloaded over 300 times. The next highest ever downloaded of an episode for us was in the 40s. So they, 8 times more.
Yeah.
Were downloaded. And a lot of that was just done because people were sharing and were made aware of it. So we really appreciate it when people share. Honestly, it would be neat if eventually this was something that was monetized, that there was a little kickback from any kind of advertisers or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Podbean, the platform that we run this through, you have to be averaging 1,000 downloads per month. Yeah.
And you have to, that is continuing.
Yeah, that is each month.
Every month. Yeah.
Right now, our total downloads since the end of July is just over 1,500.
Okay.
Over
but that's 7 months. Yeah. And we need that every
So,
month.
it would be, this is all, it would be
big dreams.
Well and good, big dreams. But in the meantime, if people are liking what we're doing, we would just ask that people share.
Tell people about it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I've heard some great feedback from people who listen to our episodes while they're out on a walk.
Oh, yeah.
While they're just, maybe waiting to pick somebody up from school or something like that. So they're listening in their car. And they said, I just love to pass the time listening to your episodes. Nice. And that means a lot. And
it does.
Then we would ask you to just take it a step further and tell other people about it and how you listen.
And regarding feedback and any of that kind of thing, of course, Facebook, whether it be in the comments or on Facebook Messenger, and then our email, minnesotamedleys at gmail.com is another way to get all this. So
let's just recap.
Going all the way back.
All the way back.
We did our meet and greet, and then we really, we came out kind of, I feel like, fists up, swinging
Minnesota style
hot dish.
Yes,
hot dish.
I know. I was so hungry after that episode.
Were you?
And during.
Yeah. Yeah.
And since.
I love talking. Yeah, and since. Well, good. Good. Excuse me. We moved on after hot dish to lakes. Talked about our favorite lakes, and some people did share feedback with us about which lakes were their favorites. We went on to, it was the time of year to talk about the state fair.
Yep.
I love talking about the state fair.
Again, I was hungry.
Yeah.
So much good food.
And since it was the season, we moved on to an episode about summer.
Yeah, because that was nearing the end of summer, of course, because it would have been in August.
Yeah, that's right. Good point.
So
summer
long,
memories.
sweet summer days.
And then our first time we had a guest was also the first time we featured a Minnesota town, and we had to start with our hometown of Stillwater.
The birthplace of Minnesota and our birthplace.
As well, yep.
Each of us, yes.
Not the same year.
No, not that old.
And our guest was Stacy Jensen from the Stillwater Chamber of Commerce. Really loved talking to her. We've seen her in town a couple of times since.
There's Stacy.
Yep. We moved on after that to Minnesota Goodbyes.
Yes.
Which we talked about how you come from a long line
of
Minnesota Goodbyers. Then we moved on to an episode, Our First Resort.
And one of
which
the
was
best.
Also one of our it was where we honeymooned. We did Bluefin.
Yeah.
And Bluefin Bay. And we spoke to Katie. A lot of people maybe have seen Katie give tours of different units at Bluefin. She's so friendly.
Yeah,
so
the Facebook face.
Yeah, she's the Facebook face of Bluefin. She's great.
Yeah.
And we moved on to Grey Duck because we wanted to talk about things that are kind of more particular to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Phrases, words.
You betcha.
Well, as you just nail one right there.
I totally did.
Yep. Grey Duck was a fun episode. We went on to our next episode, which was another town, beautiful Winona.
Yes.
And we spoke with Christy Ransom, who is the president and CEO of their Chamber of Commerce.
The Miami of Minnesota.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Really was.
Moved on to movies made in Minnesota. Researching that one I had no idea so many movies. Had no idea so many movies
Such
were
a
in
blast.
Minnesota. And our guest for that one, of course, was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, I was like looking at. We didn't have a guest.
Starred in Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way.
So he was here, and what was nice about him is he actually came to our home to record the episode with us, and
then Phil Hartman just came to us from the beyond.
From the beyond.
Yeah, which leads us to our next episode.
And And if people do go back and listen to the Movies Made in Minnesota episode,
I
think we ended up cutting the Schwarzenegger interview.
So true.
It just, we were like...
It went long.
It went long, and we're like, let's... So...
Plus,
sorry.
we needed to move on to the true paranormal experts.
The true paranormal. These were so fun.
Oh my gosh!
Our first, they were so fun. We did 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Our first Halloween Part 1, starring Justin Miner. Hey, Justin, with Johnsdale Paranormal
I could have talked with
Group.
him forever just listen to his stories.
Yeah, his stories are very interesting, and he's just a really nice guy too. So hello to him. The next episode, we stuck, like I said, with Halloween. We spoke to Heather and Tony with Twin Cities Paranormal Society. They're much closer than the Johnsdale group, but they are the first paranormal group founded in Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
So our thanks to them.
Yeah, and every time somebody mentions the Lexington, I think about there are many visits there. And
who did we go to? We went to the town of Marshall,
Minnesota.
Yeah, spoke to Cassie Weiss, who's the director of Visit Marshall.
Fun to talk with her. I know it was a busy time for her, and it was so nice to have her just take a little respite from everything busyness and share with us. And that ended up spurring on some audience participation, which we'll get to soon. But I think it was that episode where we heard from someone who gave us a tip.
Yep. Yes. And like you said, we are touching on that one too.
Yep.
But then we did another resort.
We totally need to go here.
We do need to go here. We went to, we spoke to Eric Peterson, who is the general manager of Cragun's Resort on Gull Lake.
Not any relation that we know of.
Nope, not that we know of. Eric, of course, was so knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And was able to share about that resort. Just, it feels like its own town.
Yeah.
And the way they can cater, literally, to people and events, whether it be weddings or big corporate events. And then like the homes they're building and the golf courses. And it's just... It is
it's like
amazing,
a town within a town kind of a thing.
Yeah, just really, really neat. Our thanks to Eric, of course.
So great.
And then this was fun. This
like a new series for us.
Another new series. As people will notice, we have the Greater Podcast, and then within it we have a recurring mini series of resorts.
Yep.
And also of towns. And then
came
along came authors. And it was not Janelle, but with Blue Cottage Agency.
Blue Cottage Agency. She reached out to us after hearing the Cragun's episode.
Yeah, it wasn't Janelle. I'm sorry, I'm blanking.
I'm totally blanking,
right
but yeah, I'll carry on as you.
Blue Cottage Agency. They on their website say promoting books, writers, and literary arts as a whole. And she says to us, would you ever be interested in featuring some Minnesota authors? And just couldn't jump on that bandwagon fast enough.
Right.
They so they started sending authors to us. Did you find?
Well, it was Janelle.
Oh,
it was Janelle who got in touch with us initially because she had listened. She came across the podcast and the Cragun's episode in particular. Yeah. And so she was the one she's a literary publicist in Brainerd. And she and her business partner began Blue Cottage Agency.
Yeah.
So that was just really so cool to kind of get that invitation.
Yeah. Yep.
To expand.
So our first author was
Don Carr.
Don Carr, author of Midnight Rambler.
That was a blast.
That was a lot of fun talking to him too. And he actually, that was right before our book release, and he was having a big release party at I'm forgetting the name of the Italian place over in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I'm totally blanking on it too.
And it was just so much fun to talk to him. And we
Krista.
Thank you, Krista.
Yep.
Is
we'll get there.
Blue Cottage.
Yep.
And is so neat that they introduced us to him because
Yeah.
you and I both love to read.
Yep.
And to keep it Minnesotan is just the cherry on top.
Yeah.
It was great. So our thanks to Don Carr. Then we did a Christmas episode. That's something that I love talking about. Christmas is past.
Yeah.
And present too, and
Yep.
how much music we play during that
Yeah.
time too. It's our busy time for our string duet, and
So we serenaded people a little bit.
we did. Then we did an episode about Minnesota winter activities, of which there is no shortage. No shortage. And this is interesting because we did that episode back, I don't know, I suppose it was right around
December.
Christmas, you know. And where we live, I think since then we've gotten like 2 inches, 3 inches of snow, maybe 4 inches of
ridiculously
snow.
warm and uncharacteristic Minnesota
and dry
winter.
for us. Yeah, it has been. And then we ended up doing another town. We did Hendricks, Minnesota, and we spoke to David Blease, who is their city administrator.
Mm-hmm.
And we were referred to him, and we were given the idea about doing Hendricks by Jessica B.
Mm-hmm.
And Jessica grew up there, and it's still her home. And we so appreciated her enthusiasm for this tiny little town. And like I said, it ended up being our most widely listened to, downloaded episode.
Can't wait to visit and drive around on a golf cart.
Yep. Yes, you can drive. You can just. That's what you do there.
Seriously, cannot wait. I mean, we've got places we need to travel to now. This summer is going to be very busy because we got to go all over the state.
Yep. I know.
Yeah.
We just do a roadmap. And who is one of the best people in the state to talk to about a roadmap for interesting things was our next guest,
Julie Jo Larson. Yep.
Another
Kindred
author.
Spirit.
Yep. Referred to us again by Blue Cottage Agency. And she had the 2 books that we discussed, 100 Things to Do in Minnesota Before You Die and 100 Things to Do in the Minnesota North Woods Before You Die. And she also is a member, and I think she started them, a group called the Mistorians. Really recommend listening to that episode and hear what they do, discovering just neat history in Minnesota. Very
She's made some really great connections for people.
Yes.
And like trying to uncover family history. And I just think that is so neat. And honestly, you and I, not long after interviewing her, we went for a hike out at Pine Point Regional Park here, just north of town, where my dad had been a nursing home administrator and it had been the poor farm, quote unquote, way back in the day here in Stillwater. And we took pictures of the cemetery, and I had to send them to her. And you know, I just said, "Totally thought of you, Julie Jo." It was just.
Which is a different thing to send a picture of a cemetery to somebody and say, I thought of you. You know.
Not in that way.
So, after Julie Jo, we did another one here where we featured the Frozen River Film Festival.
We went back to Winona.
For the Frozen River Film Festival and the Winona Ice Climbing Festival.
This was a big month for Winona.
Yeah, it was, yes. We're recording this, and it's still in February. Yep. In fact, the Ice Climbing Festival just wrapped up. For that, we spoke to Eric Bernard, who is the owner of Big River Climbing Guides. They
could still be wrapping up right now. It's not quite 4 o'clock.
Oh, you're right.
PM.
Yes, it goes. Yes, yeah.
Yep. It ends today.
You're right. It ends today. Boy, we sure hope that went wonderfully for them, because they put a lot of work into it, and it's such a unique thing to do.
First annual. I love that positive attitude.
Yeah,
like, we're going to make this an annual thing, and it's happening.
And speaking of really neat things going on in Winona, the first half of the month, we had spoken to Eileen Muller, who is the managing director for the Frozen River Film Festival, which has been going on a while. And I really am a little bummed, though, we weren't able to get down for any of it. It's even a week long. And
seriously. This month was just...
It was a little much.
Crazy.
Yeah, and crazy for us.
Yep.
And the avenue that they provide for people, for short filmmakers, for feature length, and the way they judge them, and just a neat festival.
So neat. And to have the opportunity to hear from some of the people that have made these films. I just...
all week long. I mean, good for Winona. All I can say is
know
good
it.
for Winona.
I know
what
it.
a neat thing. So again, our thanks to Eileen.
And that's
Eric.
it's another like snapshot of Minnesotans embracing one of what could be the most difficult months to get through in Minnesota, though it's the shortest, can sometimes be the coldest and the most wintry. And hey, they're getting
dark. It's dark out. What should we do? Throw on a movie. How about this? How about a film festival?
And it's freezing cold.
Yeah.
Let's just go have fun with the ice.
Yeah.
And then to take it even more into, we are bold here in the north. We spoke next to Sarah with the 2-on-8 days.
Sarah Zalesnikar, director of sales with Odyssey Resorts.
Yep.
Neat event festival. It's the 218 area code.
Yep.
Which basically the upper half of Minnesota.
Yeah.
She had grown up here. She lived in Colorado for a while. She came back. She'd been thinking about something like this, and it's basically just let's over the 218 over February 18th. Let's celebrate this area code and all it has to offer.
Right.
Businesses from taverns and restaurants to saunas, it just
had this month not been so crazy for us personally. I would have loved to have gone to southern Minnesota.
Yes, I thought about that.
Up to northern Minnesota and then end it back in southern Minnesota again.
Yep.
That would have been classic.
So what we need is this podcast to be so successful that this is our only job.
Come on, friends.
Come on, friends.
Make it
Send us to Winona and then up to the 218.
And then back to Winona again.
Then we shoot down to Hendricks and then Marshall's just
they got to have chains. When there is snow, they've got to put chains on.
And since we're already in the car, we should probably shoot up to Cragen's.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, I appreciate your point about, again, how much Minnesota has to offer.
Yep.
And it's another reason we thought when we wanted to do a podcast, we're like, we just need to focus and feature just the state.
Yeah.
And what's in it and how amazing it is.
And how people who are here in Minnesota love being here in Minnesota and embrace it in all ways possible.
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
And encourage others in so doing it themselves.
Our thanks to all of these people who gave their time and joined us on the phone for the numerous interviews, and it's just been so much fun. I should touch on upcoming episodes. So far in the books, we've got planned interviews with Candace Seymour.
I'm sorry, was I supposed to do drum roll? No.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, yes, Candace.
Candace Seymour, author, referred to us, of course, by
Blue Cottage.
Blue Cottage.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking to Christy Stokes, who is the president of Downtown Duluth. It's a nonprofit that promotes and supports downtown businesses, the waterfront businesses, and just one of our favorite places ever is waterfront in Duluth. And so
such a cool district
really
there.
Looking forward to talking to her about they represent 300 businesses, large and small, and so it's going to be great. And we are going to be talking in the future in April to Jean Cooney, another author.
I think I referenced her authorship when we spoke about our hot dish episode, our first actual episode.
Really?
After I think I mentioned one of her books because it was about hot dish.
Yes.
And I'm finishing up one right now. And what I love, you guys got to check out her books, because what's so fun is she mentions like hot dish and bars and different things like that. And then she has the recipes at the end of the books.
Love that.
So
love it.
Yeah, you can read and eat to your heart's content.
Indeed. And, yes, as I mentioned, we're always taking suggestions for more resorts.
Not only to visit, but to interview.
Yeah. Because, Minnesotans, they like their cabins.
Yep.
You always talk about going up to the cabin, that kind of thing. But people that don't have cabins, they go not necessarily to, it's not like, well, we're going to, get away. So we're looking for the Super 8.
Exactly.
They resorts immerse you a little more in nature and more comforts and that kind of
and
thing.
Activities and things you may not ordinarily do.
So yeah, I mean, we're always looking for more of those to talk about and get the word out about.
Yeah.
And of course, same with towns.
Yep.
Just the very few we've done. You listen to these episodes. We really encourage people, and you'll want to go there.
Yes.
That day.
Yep.
Because the people with whom we speak are just so adamant and
passionate.
So passionate and love their towns
and their resorts and they're just it's
contagious. We're again, ideas. We've talked about famous people from Minnesota that we'd like to talk to. I do have a couple of emails into the agent that represents Jessie Diggins.
That would be so fun to talk with her
from
for
Afton,
many reasons.
She went to Stillwater High School.
Go
professional
Ponies.
Athlete.
Yeah.
Has done a ton for cross-country skiing community, the sport in general. I just think she'd be great. So if anybody out there knows Jessie, give her a ring. Send her our way.
Yeah, we would love to talk with her.
We'd love to talk with her. And so again, I just encourage people, if you have something about Minnesota that you love, tell us about it.
Yeah.
Send us an email.
Friends with Jessica Beal. I mean, we'd love to give her a shout.
Is she from Minnesota?
Yeah, I think she's from Hibbing.
Okay.
Somewhere up north.
Maybe we should call Arnold Schwarzenegger back and first apologize for cutting him from the one episode.
Yeah. We owe him a major apology for that.
He did say he'd be back though.
He did.
Yeah.
I recall hearing him say that.
Yes, please email us, Minnesota Medleys at gmail.com. Look us up on Facebook. Comment there. We'd just love to see as much interaction from listeners. We'd love to see more downloads.
Momentum.
Yes, yeah. And we so appreciate you listening.
Thank you.
We will... Yeah, and thank you for mentioning that too. Thanks to everybody that listens.
Yes.
Not only those who we've interviewed, but people that listen.
But thank you for listening.
Thank you, and thanks for telling others and sharing about us. We will talk to you all soon. And we hope you are always aware of things for which to be grateful in your lives too.
Yes, absolutely.
We're grateful for you. Thanks.
Thank you.